Hello, lovely people. My name's Pam, and I help you learn English both online and in the real world. But today, I'm going to help those of you who are preparing for the PTE, the Pearson Test of English. And let's start by saying, do you want to know the easiest way to improve your speaking score in PTE? Get really good at these two question types: read aloud and repeat sentence. And in fact, if you get really good at these two question types, it will probably help you to raise your entire PTE score, not just speaking. How? Keep watching. I'll explain it all. So first, what is a read aloud question? What is a repeat sentence question? Well, the reason I am teaching them together is because they're very similar, and you should prepare for them in a very similar way. Okay, now they're both in the speaking section of the PTE, and they are, in fact, the first two scored questions in the PTE. So you go into the room, you'll do some microphone checks, things like this, and then it will ask you to introduce yourself, right? So the introduction is actually your first question in the PTE exam, but you get no points for it. Then you do the read aloud and then repeat sentence. Okay? So read aloud is exactly like what it sounds like. A text appears on the screen. You read the text aloud. Now, there'll be about 6 or 7 of these questions, so 6 or 7 different passages that you have to read aloud. And for each one, you'll get 30 to 40 seconds to read it silently, to mentally prepare. And then 30 or 40 seconds to actually read it aloud. It depends on how long the passage is. Then you'll have repeat sentence questions. And that's also exactly what it sounds like. You listen to a sentence.
Not getting enough sleep has been associated with numerous health risks.
And then you repeat that sentence exactly as it is. And for repeat sentence, you'll get about 10 or 12 of each of these questions. You basically just listen to a sentence that might be just 3 seconds long. It might be 9 seconds long. They usually get a little bit more difficult as they go along. And you'll have about 15 seconds to repeat that sentence. Oh, and I'd just like to mention that I have a link to a Google Doc for you guys. If you look in the description below, you can find a link. That will take you to a list of example read aloud questions with me reading them aloud so that you can listen and shadow and learn and practice that way. Okay? So why do they matter? Well, honestly, they matter a little bit less than they used to. In August 2025, Pearson made a lot of changes to the PTE exam, but they are still very, very important. You'll notice, for example, that repeat sentence gets you points for both listening and speaking. Yeah? You should know, though, that read aloud used to get you points for reading and speaking. It does not anymore. Now it just gets you points for speaking. But they are easy points. These are points that you shouldn't lose, yeah? They're the easiest points in the speaking test to get. And if you're careful about just a few things, then it's easy to study for them. The other thing about these two question types is that if you prepare well for them, then that is key to you getting a good score in the rest of the test. It's perfect study material. Using read aloud and repeat sentence questions is absolutely perfect study material for the rest of the PTE exam. So as we go on with today's lesson, I want to show you the correct way to use them for that purpose, as well as helping you get a good score in those particular two question types. Okay, I now want to just talk a little bit about the basics of these question types, right? Things that you absolutely must know to get a decent score. Firstly, you need to know that there is a 3-second rule. If you pause for 3 seconds, then you'll get cut off, and then you lose a chance at any points for these two question types. especially in repeat sentence, because when you do a repeat sentence question, you'll hear a sentence and then you must repeat it immediately. There's no pause, there's no beep. You have to notice immediately when to start. And a mistake that many people make is that they get distracted, they zone out, something happens, and then they don't notice, oh, I should start speaking, and then they get cut off. Another point that you need to know is that you should never go back to correct yourself for these two question types, right? Sometimes you'll start reading and then you realize, I made a mistake. Well, I'll go back and fix that mistake. If you had a human examiner, that may be a good strategy. For PTE, it is not. Your content score is based on you saying the right words in the right order. So if you go back, you're going out of order. It's going to lose you some content points. It's also going to mess up your fluency, right? Because you're pausing and then jumping around. So it's just not good overall. So if you make a mistake, shrug, move on. Just keep on going forward. There are 4 pain points that I have noticed students have with these two question types. And the first one is just for repeat sentence questions. And that is that you just can't catch the words, right? You can't even distinguish one word from another word. It just sounds like a lot of words all squished together. Secondly, you don't know the words. Now, that could be for reading or for listening, yeah, for read aloud or repeat sentence questions. You just don't have enough vocabulary. And if you don't know the word, then it becomes difficult to pronounce the word correctly, doesn't it? And it also makes it a lot harder to remember the word. So that becomes very difficult with repeat sentence because you're trying to remember something that you don't understand. Third issue, pronunciation clarity issues, clear speech. And Pearson, uses AI, uses algorithms to mark these two question types. There's no human examiner for this part of the test. So you must have speech that is clear enough for a computer to understand you. There is no way that Pearson has better technology than companies like Google and Apple. You have to speak clearly enough for the computer to recognize what you're saying. Big, big issue. And the fourth one, the rhythm and flow of your English. Yeah? So you want to sound natural. You want to sound flowing. You don't want to sound robotic or stilted. Okay, so let's look at strategies for how to approach read aloud and repeat sentence that will knock down those pain points one by one. So the first pain point was that you can't catch what people are saying, right? And that is about an issue called connected speech. I recommend that you Google it. Connected speech is a key feature of spoken English. And in PTE, you're listening to people with different accents who will use connected speech at different times to different extents, but they'll all use it. So let me give you one tip about connected speech here. So there are a lot of academic phrases. PTE loves academic phrases. There are a lot of those phrases with of in the middle. Cost of living, quality of life, in front of the library. Yeah, all really, really common phrases you will find in PTE academic. And if you don't realize that we drop the V sound in of, it can be very difficult to catch it and to reproduce the sentence correctly. So now you know. But knowing is one thing, doing it is another thing, right? So you have to make it automatic. You have to listen enough and practice enough so that it feels automatic to you. Okay, so how do you learn connected speech? Well, the best thing you can do is to learn it organically. Okay, so don't sit there picking apart what sounds run together and make little diagrams. I honestly think most of that is wasting your time. The best thing you can do is to just listen and read something at the same time and start to get an ear for what it sounds like and what it looks like. then you start noticing, this is what's happening, and it feels natural to you. It's easier to pick up than learning rules for connected speech. So this is where PTE repeat sentence practice questions are gold. And you can access them on the Pearson official website, or there's a lot of apps. And a lot of apps have free materials that you can get to practice this, right? So just find some sample PTE repeat sentence questions, lots and lots of them, and make it part of your daily drill that you are going to not just listen to them. Don't just do them under test conditions. That's not going to help you. Listen to them and read them at the same time and shadow them, okay? So that you get used to hearing what it sounds like, seeing what the words actually are, and then you lock it in by saying it so that you remember, that's how people say it in English. Okay? And this is why it is so important that you use repeat sentence questions to prepare yourself for the PTE test. Yeah? Because that skill of decoding words is important for all of the listening test and for most of the speaking test too. Okay, second pain point was just don't know the words. Maybe you can catch them, but you don't know what they mean. Well, there again, it's a similar kind of preparation strategy that I'm going to recommend. Both listen and read at the same time. Take some read aloud passages, copy paste them into a text-to-speech reader. I'll strongly recommend Natural Reader as one that I use often. It has a wide range of different accents you can listen to the speech in. You can slow it down to make it easier. You can speed it up to challenge yourself. But the key point is that you are hearing how the words are pronounced as well as learning what they are, right? So as you are looking through your read aloud passage, you should pause and highlight words you don't know, look them up, listen again, and then shadow so that you can lock it in. Okay, so remember, PTE repeats similar stuff. I guarantee that in your read aloud practice passages and the real PTE test, you'll have topics like artificial intelligence, online learning, climate change, recycling. They'll be the same topics recycled again and again and again. So the more familiar you are with the kind of vocabulary and the set phrases that are used to talk about those issues, the easier it will be even to write your essay, right? Okay, now let's imagine that you don't know the words and you also don't have time to study. You just need a strategy to survive the test. In that case, if in doubt, mumble. Okay? It is better to mumble something so that you can maybe get some fluency points than to say nothing or to pause. If you pause, you lose fluency points. And remember, a 3-second pause and you're dead anyway. So at least if you're making some noises, the AI will keep listening to you until you can get to another word that you do understand. It's better than nothing. Okay, the third pain point, really big one, is pronunciation clarity, speaking clearly. Now, tips for this, could talk for hours and hours on this particular issue, but let me give you 3 key points. Number 1, open your mouth. Try to exaggerate the way you speak a little bit, and you'll automatically be a little clearer. I even have some students who'll get a pencil and they put it in their mouth and they try and talk around the pencil, and that forces them to use the muscles of their mouths more clearly, and therefore they will enunciate more clearly. Okay, so that's 1, open your mouth. 2, focus on the endings of words. A lot of different languages don't pronounce endings as strongly as English, and a lot of them don't have the same sounds at the ends of words as English. So it's very important that you say an S if there's an S on the end of the word, that you say an ED if there's an ED on the end of the word. Can you notice? If you skip them, then not only is your pronunciation wrong, but it changes the grammar. It changes the meaning of the sentence. Yeah? Because I don't know if it is one pencil or two pencils, for example. So again, exaggerate. Pencils. Okay? Because you might feel like you're saying it, but unless you say it strongly, it might not be enough. So here is where I want to recommend that you, again, practice, practice, practice before the test. Talk to AI. Check that the voice recognition can catch you. I like to use Google Docs. I go into Google Voice Typing. It's quite easy to find. Just open a Google Doc, go to Tools, Google Voice Typing, and then speak. And make sure that it can catch what you're saying. So practice reading some read aloud passages to it. Check that it can catch you correctly. And take note of what sounds it's not catching. And very often those sounds will be the endings. So make sure that you're saying those clearly. Okay. But other sounds that it might not catch you on really will depend on you, your personal speech patterns, and probably your accent too. There are certain sounds that exist in English that don't exist in other languages. So let me just give you two of those, and you can go ahead and practice for these two, but note that you'll need to check what your particular sound issues are. So check it by reading to Google Voice Typing and finding out what sounds it's not picking up. But one common sound that a lot of people struggle to make correctly is TH. So for example, instead of saying thanks, they might say tanks. Instead of saying 30, they might say 30 or 30, right? So what you need to do is recognize the shape of your mouth, what you need to do with your mouth and tongue to make the correct sound. So for TH, put your tongue lightly between your teeth and then make a S sound. Yeah? So you go. Check yourself in front of a mirror. Make sure that you've got your tongue between your teeth and that you are saying S. And then start saying lots of words with TH in it. 33, 333, 3,333, 33,333. Practice it over and over again because it's not enough just to know how to hold your mouth. You have to make it automatic so that you're not thinking about it because your brain can't handle trying to remember the words at the same time as think about how to pronounce. So you need to get good enough at this that it becomes automatic. Okay? Another one that people often make mistakes with is I call it smiling A. Yeah, it's when we say ah, ah. And a lot of words in English have this. For example, cat, right? You might mistake saying cat with cut. And do you notice if you look at the shape of my mouth, it's quite a different mouth shape for them both. When we say ah, we smile. When we say ah, we relax our jaw. Cat, cut. Again, same pattern. Check yourself in front of a mirror, do it over and over and over again. Then I'm sure you'll be fine. Okay, the fourth pain point, rhythm and flow. Now, how do you improve the rhythm and flow of your English? Well, tip number one is shadow. Shadow, shadow, shadow. Listen to those repeat sentence questions. Find out what the words actually are written down and copy them, copy them, copy them. And then it becomes automatic, right? Same with read aloud. You can shadow by using natural reader. Then you start to notice where is the syllable stress. What's happening with how they're using their voices. Shadowing is probably the best thing you can do here. It just gets stuck in your mind. Okay. Secondly, look for places to pause. This is especially important in read aloud. Remember, you have about 30 seconds to look at what you have to read. So look for, where's a comma? Where's a full stop? Because at those points, I can take a breath. And if you know that, then the rhythm of your speech will automatically be better. Some of those sentences are really long and they don't have any comma to give you breathing space. So in those cases, look for a verb. And if you pause after a verb, that usually sounds quite natural too. Okay, so you can mark that. Get yourself ready before you speak for read aloud. Thirdly, I would recommend that you think about your voice going up and down just a little. You don't want to go crazy, but if you notice that there's a comma, make your voice go up a little bit. And if you notice there's a full stop, definitely make your voice go down. Okay, every time your voice goes down, you sound like you're ending a sentence. Every time your voice goes up, it sounds like there's still some more sentence coming. And that's what's happening with a comma too, right? We're in the middle of a sentence, and now we're at the end. Okay, and finally, let's do an example read aloud question and example repeat sentence question together. We'll do the read aloud question first. Improvements in healthcare and technology have significantly increased the average lifespan in many countries. However, these changes have also raised important questions about the quality of life in old age. Researchers now focus not only on extending life expectancy, but also on ensuring that people remain healthy, active, and socially connected as they grow older. Okay, so that's it. So did you notice while I was preparing, I highlighted words that I thought, oh, maybe I want to think about how to pronounce that before I actually do it? Yeah. I also highlighted commas to remind myself, oh, make your voice go up a little bit, pause a little bit. I highlighted the full stops to remind myself of the same thing. Okay, and then I just did it. Now, did you notice quality of life was in this passage, and I did pronounce the V sound. And I recommend you do the same. So when you learn connected speech, please learn connected speech so you can listen better. You do not need to use it for speaking. And in fact, when you are speaking to a robot, when you are speaking to AI, it is better not to use too much connected speech. Okay? You want to speak clearly, not naturally. So it's one of those cases where speaking like a native speaker is not better. Okay? You want to speak more clearly than a native speaker. Now let's try our repeat sentence question.
The fundamental purpose of this course is to develop your critical thinking skills.
The fundamental purpose of this course is to develop your critical thinking skills. That's it. Okay, so repeat sentence. There's nothing I can do in the moment to improve my chances, right? It's not enough time to try and write down what they're saying. All I can do is hope that I can remember it and say it. And the only chance I've really got to remember a long sentence is with the preparation that I do before the test. Yeah, because it's one of those cases where you either know the words, you know how they sound, or you don't. Okay, guys, thank you so much for staying all the way to the end of this video. I really appreciate it. And I want to reward you by reminding you, please use read aloud and repeat sentence materials as the foundation of your PTE test study. Trust me, it really will help you. And also what will help you is, like I said, I have a Google Doc in the description below. Please feel free to use it. And finally, please click like, subscribe, comment on my video. It really helps me a lot and I would very much appreciate it. If there is anything else I can do to help you, please let me know. There are contact details below. I'm doing a lot of different things to help students improve their PTE scores, including private coaching. I'm booked out right now, but if you contact me, we can maybe reserve a space in the future. I'm also offering small group training sessions. I also do a writing feedback system, lots of things. So if any of you are interested in going on the wait list for study with me for a book that I'm writing on PTE. If you just want to know more about what's happening, please write waitlist in the comments below and I will get back to you. Okay, guys, good luck with your study.